What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of the AFC podcast. I got an exceptionally interesting show today. We're here with the cast of Film Society, one of the acceptees at the Triborough Film Festival Season 3. And I'm currently here with EBONÉE, with Tim, with MARSHA, with Stavros, Vera, and who's that handsome gentleman next to you, Vera?
Roger Grange, who is my husband and the cinematographer for Film Society.
All right, so why don't we go around the horn a little bit? Nice to meet you, Mr. Roger. How about we say hello to your lovely, I assume everybody here is a part of the cast, or it was like a 50-50 split where we all help each other out, and you're gripping, you're helping with the lighting as well, all that stuff, even one camera operator when they weren't in the room?
Well, actually, these are all members of the cast, except for me, director, and Roger, cinematographer. We had more people on the crew during the filming days, but I thought this would be a great group and not make too much of a too big of a group. So,
I appreciate that. All right, so why don't you introduce us to the cast of Film Society, Episode 1?
Okay, it's my pleasure. I'll just go around the way people are arranged on my screen. Tim Reed, who plays Michael, who is the executive director of the Film Society, and Stavros Adamides, who plays R, who you have to understand Film Society is a little bit autobiographical based on my experiences on the board of a film society, a local arts nonprofit. And so Stavros actually plays Roger's role in the episode. And then MARSHA Lustig is another member of the board of directors, and EBONÉE COLLENS, who is also on the board and the one who invites V, my character, to join the board of directors in the course of the episode.
Oh, so this is a bit of a, I wouldn't say an autobiographical film, but this kind of hits really close to home for you guys.
Absolutely, yes.
Quite a lot, considering Stavros is named R, and V, who is not on this Zoom call, but V plays Vera. So, but we don't ever really kind of make it obvious that V and R are me and Vera. It's just the way the names in the script came out.
Honestly, I couldn't come up with names that felt right to me to replace R and V. So they were in the script that way. So we just said, what the heck? Some people get called by their first initial, so we'll just leave it that way and have fun with it. And to be honest, they don't say the names in the video, so it's not really an issue except in the script and the credits.
Well, it probably makes it a little bit easier to like navigate and keep everything sort of like in sync with how you want the story to play out and who's who and what's going to happen.
Right, and it was just fun. I mean, when I was writing the script, Roger would give me, I would get his feedback. I wrote the script with Juliana Roth, who actually plays V, but she couldn't be here today, and I couldn't have done it without collaborating. But Roger would give feedback, and he would say, people are going to make fun of me. And I would say, what are you talking about? They're going to make fun of me. They're going to laugh at me. So it was in that spirit.
All righty. Well, I guess we could start going down the horn and seeing what the experience was like for your lovely cast and your crew. So, hey, Tim, why don't we start with you for a second? I think it was Vera who mentioned you were the executive director of the short film.
Well, that's my role in the film. I'm one of the actors. My character, Michael, is the executive director of the Film Society. That's the subject of the series.
these titles are not going to mess with my brain that much, but now I get it because so you played the executive director as the on the board of directors.
Right. And it makes me smile a little bit because this was my first film experience. So I am so far from being the executive director on a particular feature film. So Vera and I know each other just from her neighborhood and from yoga class. My background is that I'm a theater teacher and an English teacher, and I have, some theater experience. So when Vera first was working on the script, she asked me if I could give her a hand with characters or just give her some feedback. And I assured her I didn't really know much about filmmaking. I know she and her husband, Roger, are very involved in the industry. So we did a little reading with some actor friends. And then I was happy when Vera asked me if I would continue on and be in the film and the filming of it. And it was a really amazing experience for me, honestly, having come from a theater background and been a film buff and a film fan, but to actually see the practical work of it when we did 2 shoots, one of the meeting in a basement of a community place here in Nyack, and another one at a home. It was really great. It was a fun experience. I learned the difference between theater work and film work in terms of the shoot and taking multiple takes and all the adjustments that need to be made. So that was a great experience. And, I didn't know everybody. Stavros and I have worked together at a community playhouse. But it was really great to, work with everybody else, MARSHA and EBONÉE and the other cast members, and the crew was great. So fun, a little bit of a, time experience, to watch everything get manufactured and take after take. But the crew was great. And for me, it just really was a nice professional introduction to what the world of film was like.
How long have you been a theater teacher for now?
This is my 28th year at a high school up here in Rockland County, working as an English teacher and I run the theater program.
Oh, I see. So, where would you say there was a huge dynamic in the tempo and the timing and the pace of executing a film versus on the stage?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a real lesson for me. I obviously had ideas about how films were made, but being there as a member of the cast and just watching it all unfold was pretty fascinating, about take after take. And especially our scene, from what Roger said, is a table scene where we're meeting at someone's home around a dining table. And so the shots for that took a long time because each person, has to speak their lines and multiple takes for each person. So yeah, it was a long day, but it was fascinating just to see how that works and to be a part of it.
Yeah, from my experience, because I started with theater first, and it was just sort of like a college course as an elective that kind of just evolved into today where, there's no cutting, there's no stop. There's no pause in theater whatsoever. And then to stop and go, did you find any challenges like now being the actor and kind of balancing that dynamic of theater and film where holding intention was, I guess, a little bit complex?
Yeah, definitely. One of my funniest experiences was I happened to be the last person in the last shots of the day for my close-up. And my character gets really I wouldn't say emotional, but he gets angry at how things are not going the way he wants them to go. And so he launches into a bit of a tirade at another character. So I was trying my best to give it, the emotional level for other people's reaction shots. And so when it came time for me, I thought, okay, I'm really going to give it all I've got to give, Vera this sort of great thing that she can cut later. And after doing that, Vera has been so polite in giving everybody some directorial notes. And she said, well, okay, Tim, can you maybe take it down a little bit for the next take? And there I was thinking, all right, I'm going to do this. I've got it. I saved it. I've been here for 4 hours on the shoot, but I'm going to give it my all. And it needed to be, toned down a bit. So, which was funny. Just was there to serve and happy to serve. But it was just funny that I thought, okay, I'm going to save my energy and give it my all for this great shot. And it's a little too much.
Did anybody else have like a challenge when it came to pulling off your character, but projecting was just kind of like, yeah, like just your only issue, more or less, that adaptation, or are you guys more or less really familiar when it comes to film acting versus stage acting?
I did no acting. I
Oh, I
never
gotta get
acted before.
all right, Marsha, you're the new kid on the block then, right?
I'm the new guy. I never did this before. I was approached by Julie. I was actually sneaking Julie into the Y because I work there and I know her since she's a little girl, and I didn't want her to take a membership out. So I said, just meet me and we'll go to Zumba together. You'll just walk in with me. And so she came over to me one day and she said, oh, we wrote something, Vera and I think you would be perfect for Annie. So I said, sure. I mean, I think it was something that I always wanted to do, but I never, I always tell people when I was growing up, like my mother didn't say to me, Marsha, what do you want to do? She wanted me to get married. So I was glad that I had the opportunity to try something that I never did before, and I always wanted to. And
All
it was
right. So, all right. So you got, I'm sure, a backstory, but you currently work at the YMCA.
yeah.
Was there anything else more or less in creative, like in your time where you just wanted to, go from this, but now try becoming an actress?
No, I'm still waiting for offers here, but it's not happening.
It's never too late to start. Well, what's your background in?
True. We'll
Yeah.
see.
But we have to say, Marsha and Roger and I know each other through our children who went to high school together and participated in the wonderful theater program. So we knew Marsha from classes at the Y, from jumping around together at boot camp, and also we knew her daughter. So, we knew about her personality and her her exuberance. And so when Juliana suggested Marsha, I thought, oh yeah, she would be great. So that was also part of what made it work.
I remember in theater class, there was always like a useful tool, like archetypes when you're actually staging and creating sort of like an orchestration and you want to try to stick to a theme. I don't know why it popped into my head. It's probably like after watching the short, it's definitely not a Miss Hannigan style of a role. But did you ever think that a character like Marsha's could have been more or less like a Miss Hannigan, more or less?
I have to admit, I'm not sure who Miss Hannigan is.
Okay, Tim, you want to take that one?
I think, are you talking the woman from Annie? Is that who the role you're talking about?
Yeah,
Miss Hannigan?
Yeah, the Carol Burnett character.
Yeah, she's sort of, I guess, I don't know if I would say that Marsha's character is really not like the antagonist there. She's got a thing about popcorn. Other than that,
doesn't really. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, I get it. I could agree with that. Actually, cleaning the kernels out of the carpet, and not with a really good vacuum, that is really hard.
Right. Also, it's officially a policy at the community center where the Real Film Society has a lot of has the screenings that you can't sell popcorn because it's too hard to clean up. So that was based on reality.
Good. All right. So the story shall continue. I guess we'll move on real quick to EBONÉE, sitting over there in the corner. How you doing?
Hi.
Now,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, now I take it this is not your first time on a film set.
No, it's not been. But it was very fun. I enjoyed it. I always enjoy my time on set, whether it's on film, on stage, wherever it is. I always enjoy myself.
All righty. So how'd you get involved with this little gem of a film?
So I got involved with this little gem of a production through a mutual colleague. I've done just a little bit of work here and there. I've done some work, at Elmwood Playhouse and Antrim and Shades Rep and WCT and just some indie stuff, some off-Broadway stuff. And anyway, there was a mutual friend who was talking with V, and recommended me for the role of Bethany. And so V reached out to me and we got to chit-chatting, and I read the script and I said, "Ooh, I like her." And the rest is her story, is our story.
Right, and I'll say the B who introduced us is also on the board of directors for the Real Film Society. So,
Oh boy,
very.
We're gonna be playing with the spectrum of realism during this podcast. I could tell.
Like 6 degrees of separation here.
Totally.
So so in real life there is a film society. We have a short film called The Film Society, episode 1. And we have real characters in real life played by real people as dramatic characters of a parallel of like, okay, how do I identify this project? It's not a biopic necessarily. It's a bit of a nonfiction. There's some play.
It's like an alternate universe.
But absolutely.
A little bit of a mockumentary. Some people have called it a mockumentary.
Yeah, I just realized it's kind of fitting that the first episode is called Better Than Reality. Because, you know what I mean? We're playing on actual reality. So
it was at Stavros.
Oh, yes, sir. That's me.
Why don't we introduce you to the audience listening from their cars?
Okay, sure. Welcome, car people. Hey, I'm Stavros. How did I get involved? Well, also from the yoga. I met Vera and Roger through yoga. Just happened to see Tim there. Hey, Tim. Yeah, and they invited me along. I don't know. You guys didn't really know me that well. I think just because Tim recommended me for the reading, and then the rest was history. Yeah, because you hadn't seen me perform anything. But I've been doing community theater for, solid for the past like 15 years. I've done short films here and there, web series, you name it. But in my everyday life, I work for a nonprofit agency to service adults with developmental disabilities. That's what I do during the day. But, I do all this acting stuff on the side for fun and to, for personal growth and well-being. But anyway, enough about me talking about myself. If you got a question, that'd be great.
Well, hey, so, all right, fun fact, the AFC podcast is supposed to be 100% about you. This is your story. Like, this is a way for, honestly, just like letting the community in the filmmaking world, getting to know this guy, what their experience is. Are they cool? Are they going to be a problem on set? Are they the opposite of a jerk? And whatever gets you through the day the absolute best way, I think, if you can. Some of our podcast guests, amazing people, like everybody has a story, and just in 1 hour, if you could sum up like even a 15-year career so far of all the good, the bad, and the ugly, and how to overcome that and continue pursuing this on, this space rock, as I guess, what was that comedian's name who was in, oh my God, I lost his name, but he just did a comedy special where he's like, you think you're in America right now? Zoom out, you're on a space rock floating. Well, anyway, I don't want to get way off topic because it's like he's not here. God, that's going to bother me. It'll pop up later. But anyway, I guess now that we introduced ourselves, I guess we'll talk a little bit about Vera, of all the films that you could have started, how come you wanted to start with Film Society?
Okay, well, my background, I'm a documentary filmmaker, and so I've done years of work on public television and independent documentaries about mythology, about education, about various people in musical theater history. But anyway, along the way, I joined the board of directors of the Film Society here in Rockland County, which happens to be called Rivertown Film, which is a great organization. And I always loved being a member, and being on the board was also fun, and it's great people, but there was just so many funny things that happened. As a documentary filmmaker, I couldn't help taking notes. And I just thought this would be something really funny. And it's kind of an homage because this organization, like so many other community organizations, people just do because they love it. They're somehow dedicated to it, like community theater, like Little League, like even, maybe I don't know about the Chamber of Commerce, but there are plenty of civic organizations that people just do because they think this needs to be done. This is good. And sometimes you get thrown together with different odd personalities that are different from you, but you're working together toward a goal, and you usually work it out. But sometimes there are frictions. So, and you make these things happen. That was the other thing that got me started was, I would get very nervous in my early years on the board because we'd have an event and people were busy with their jobs. They wouldn't answer emails. They wouldn't answer phone calls. How is this going to happen? But somehow it always was a miracle. It always came off. So that was like kind of an epiphany for me that's how these things happen. People do it somehow. So I thought that was a good message. I never knew of another project like this. And so I thought it would be fun to put it together. So when Juliana volunteered that she liked to collaborate, and she's a very good writer, I said, hey, maybe would you like to collaborate on this? And she said yes. And she knew about the form of writing a screenplay, which I knew how to shape a documentary, but not a script. So we worked on it over the course of a year, really, and did 6 episodes. And then I got some funding to do the first episode from the local arts council. And then that's when we got started with Tim. We actually had to do it in casting. And fortunately, Roger was pressed into service as the cinematographer who knows how to make things work on a small or minuscule or non-existent budget, and that it was fun.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? I think money does matter in this field quite a bit, especially if you want to do it right. You want to make it look really nice, especially when it's permanent, more or less. You want it to, have it look as well as it can be.
Yeah.
Well, that's curious.
Well,
I definitely wanted to talk to you more, Roger, because you were the cinematographer on this set. So was this your first rodeo, or did you have a photography background?
Not my first rodeo. I've been doing this for like 40 years. But this first time that Vera and I worked together on a narrative thing, because Vera's really only done documentaries, or mostly. So I kind of do a little bit of everything, music and documentaries and wildlife and occasional narrative pieces. And, back in 1988, I won the film that I shot for a Columbia University student, won the student Oscar Best Picture. So,
for best cinematography.
And for best cinematography, but they wouldn't give me the award because I wasn't a student, but whatever, at least I knew that I would have gotten the award. But, it seems like most of the time my projects that tend to be fairly low budget, and it's not always the most desirable situation to be in, to try to pull off some kind of a big scene without any money or not enough money. And I've had big commercial projects where they say, we want to do a 360-degree shot with Rachel Weisz and this. I'm like, no way, without $100,000 are we going to do this shot, but anyway, so my expertise is trying to make something out of nothing, basically. There's a line in the film that Stavros complains about. I'm not going to give it away right now because people have to see the film.
Okay.
But Stavros is complaining about his day of working on a corporate video. And that's actually based on something that really happened to me working for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals. And we went to the Pfizer headquarters on 42nd and Lex, or 3rd Avenue, which one? Anyway, one of those. And they have a studio there. So we were booked to shoot in the studio. And we had like 8 people lined up to do interviews with. And they say, well, Celebrex was taken off the market last night, so you can't have the studio. So, okay, what are we going to do then? Well, we don't know. It's like, nobody's like working on this. I said, well, there must be some room somewhere that we can have, because otherwise we're going to have to cancel all these people. Anyway, that actually made it into the film, and you'll see. When you see the film, you'll see the reality behind this little comic moment, and there are many of those. So
you got your season 1 pretty much like in the line of sight on how things are going to progress for these board of directors, and actually seeing, you know, them out in the field. Like at any time, do these characters become the actors of the movie within the movie, or do they have to like just be the delegators of the film society, and they actually just are the oversight, the shadow of all the film sets and projects going around the community?
There's not as much overlap as what you're suggesting. The characters remain on the board, and they don't cross over into being the makers of the web series. No, we didn't get that complicated.
Alrighty. So just to recap, we got Vera, who's been more or less a documentarian as a career. And of course, we got Roger, the cinematographer, for 4 decades, and he knows what he's doing. You got the teacher, Tim, theater background, almost 30 years. MARSHA, she's very new to this. She's green, but adorable. And of course, Stavros, for 15 years, I do it for fun. I love it. Gets me out of the house. And I do want to circle back to EBONÉE now. Like, did you have like any training, any conservatory? And I got to say, you look like a singer, tooth and nail. Like, you look like you could really sing.
Thank you. So my name is actually pronounced EBONÉE. It's like ebony, but with a little razzle dazzle. So EBONÉE. That's an easy way for people to remember it. But yeah, I have had just a little bit of training. I actually started my career as a performer at the age of 3. I started modeling. And then I started dancing at like Bernice Johnson Dance Studios, Carolyn DeVore Dance Studios. I've danced at places like Carnegie Hall, the Apollo Theater, Lincoln Center, Avery Fisher Hall, places like that. Then I started singing and writing at 6 because I just fell in love with music and listening to just all the classics growing up and everybody, of course, you got the Jackson 5 and everybody in there, and you got New Edition and Salt and Pepper and just everybody, just loving just everybody out there. So I fell in love with music. And so I started writing music, and I started writing short stories and plays and poems. And then I started singing and getting into it that way. And somewhere along the line, I got into voice acting. And yeah. I found out that I am deeply in love with acting.
That is, oh my God, that's so nice. That is so nice to hear. Do you have any favorite projects that you've done as a voiceover actress?
Nothing that is like, oh my God, that's like tip the scale as a VO actress. I was the voice for this, he's like a neo soul artist named Dwele. I was his voice for his album Once World's Women. Couple of years back, it was probably been about 10 years at this point, but I was his voice. I was the voice of Kelly Kidney in this children's audiobook called Nurse Vaccine. So that was fun. There's a couple of other projects that I'm doing right now, but they're kind of on the burner right now, so I can't really talk about those. But some of those are animated, and those are fun. And it's fun to, there's one that like is on the, on the back burner where I'm supposed to play kind of like a villain. So that's going to be really fun to play a villainous role.
Nice. All righty then. Now I just got to ask really quick, MARSHA, did you ever feel like maybe you would want to get into something very similar to EBONÉE as far as like getting more into like voiceover work? Or did you want to like really commit to anything else? Or is this just a one-time thing? I tried it and I'm done.
No one would ever hire me for voiceover work unless I was doing a voiceover for a Brooklyn,
Yeah,
a heavy Brooklyn accent. And I don't think anyone would even think about that. No, I never thought about it. Not at this point.
I can hear it.
I could definitely hear it. I could definitely hear it. And of course, like being a New Yorker, I was born in Brooklyn. Yeah, for me, it's just like we need more Brooklyn stories. And it's very distinct. I mean, it's unmistakable.
Absolutely.
It's its own thing, you know? And it's funny. I think from every culture on the planet, we all have the same accent in Brooklyn. So, I mean, like there's no mistaking it.
It's
Absolutely
beautiful.
not.
I'm so glad it's in Film Society.
Yeah, that was fun. So we need more. All right. So we need more MARSHA from Brooklyn and monologuing. Like talking about real issues, saying, here's the deal, permits, this, that, yada, yada.
Embark on your unique financial journey with Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union. Your aspirations, your milestones. We're committed to guiding you every step of the way. Whether you're saving for a dream home, planning for retirement, or seeking to consolidate debt, trust MHV to provide personalized solutions tailored to your needs. Our comprehensive range of products and services, coupled with expert financial advice, empowers you to make informed decisions and achieve your goals. Visit us online at mhvfcu.com to discover the tools and resources available to help you navigate your financial landscape with confidence and clarity. Your journey starts here.
What about you, Tim? I would assume before becoming an educator, did you go to like conservatory? Did you have any like background as a kid growing up in drama school or anything like that?
Yeah, I didn't do heavy duty theater in college, but I was really lucky that I discovered it in high school. That and like EBONÉE, just all of a sudden I started it and absolutely fell in love with acting. You couldn't get me out of that like small theater space that we had at our high school. And our high school did 7 productions a year, like big scale productions. And we had this little small theater space. And there was a lot of student run work out of there as well. So that, I got a chance to write as a high school student, direct, act, build the sets. So that happened. And then college, I wanted to be a teacher. So I focused on that and really felt that theater work missing, I did realize then like how much that was a part of who I was and how much I enjoyed that. So when I became a teacher myself, I've modeled a lot of what I do at the high school that I work at from all the things that I got to experience as a high school student myself. So it's a thrill for me to know that I'm hoping that even regardless of whether the kids go on to study theater professionally, that they feel that they've had a good experience to, discover who they are, work with other people. I was just talking to a mom the other day about how much a theater background or theater experience can prepare you for the rest of your life. Roger was talking about doing stuff on a shoestring budget. I mean, talk about that in the theater. And EBONÉE, Stav and I have all worked at community playhouses where, you don't have a lavish Broadway budget. So yeah, I've been really lucky. That's where I came, how I came to what I do now. And I'm glad that I have the opportunity to still, hopefully inspire some students to, go into the field, or as I said, if not, to have a good experience, and discover themselves and be creative. I think that's really, really important for everybody and for high school students, especially. I think we've lost that a little bit.
I think it's an essential and critical job that is highly overlooked because I had a more or less a construction background since 14 years old, more or less. And it wasn't until like, I started like, even in college, taking my first theater class where it was just like, I really wish I did do it since the eighth grade and just try to get into it, because my takeaway from a lot of it was just being able to speak in front of people, like little things like that, learning how to breathe, which translates into how to listen, and then just has you being grounded and like a real contributor to the now on whatever it is that you're about to do. For me, theater was definitely day one, day two, day to day on simple little technique, if you would call it that, on being present and engaged.
Yeah, and I would say too, just being part of a team, being able to work with everybody. I mean, that was something that I remember as part of this film project, in addition to doing theater work. It's just really great, to see how everybody contributed to it. And for me as a new person to the process, to see how all the crew members, participated and how everything worked. And honestly, it was a pleasure I knew Vera and Roger outside of this world. It was really great for me to watch the two of them like work together and help each other to achieve what they wanted to achieve on the day. That was a great part of it for me too.
So the YMCA really played a huge factor for all of you on how y'all met?
Yeah.
No.
Not for everybody, but for some of us, yeah.
And yoga class.
Well, the yoga class is separate. It's a friend of mine who is also a neighbor of Vera's and knows Stavros through the community playhouse that we've all done some work at, and so that was the link, a part of it, and then obviously networked through other folks and friends and acquaintances to put the cast and crew together.
Gotcha.
Right.
So this playhouse, more or less, what's this place all about? What do they do?
I think I'll throw it to Stavros. I feel like I've talked too much, so I'll chime in here. Or EBONÉE's also worked at Elmwood.
Yeah, what do they do? What don't they do? How's that for a promo? So, all right. Well, Tim, if you can just tell me when the Playhouse started. Do you know the date?
I don't know
It's 75 seasons, right?
Yeah, we're like in our 70s in terms of our seasons.
Yeah, 76, something like that. I think we just recently celebrated 75. So, yeah, I mean, it's, they do the classic community theater stuff. Every now and then they'll do original works. They're closing Young Frankenstein tonight, which is, got great reviews and has been selling out and, all that stuff. And, what I love about community theater in general is, you get people from all over, and like you become friends with people that you would never associate socially in real life. You know what I mean? Like the doctor with the lawyer, with the garbage man, with the this, with the that, as soon as you step foot on stage, none of that matters. You know what I mean? Like you're all equals. And it's like, did you drop your line? Did you miss your cue? You know what I mean? Like, did you have a really good moment on stage? Did you really connect? Did the audience react? You know what I mean? Like, for that 2-3 hours, whatever it is you're making that show, man, that's like life is right there, like as intense as life can be, and it's a little addictive, being an actor in a theater situation. Yeah. But I love film sets as well. It's a different vibe, the collaboration, the problem solving on the day, is fantastic. Watching, how are we going to do this shot? You know what I mean? Or, the light is the sun's coming down, we've got to get it in quick, or we got to readjust, But anyway, anyone else want to talk about Elmwood? I mean, I don't know if I said enough about it, but.
I mean, I think Elmwood is absolutely amazing. Like, I'm from the city. I'm from Manhattan. And so I moved up to Rockland County. And, one of the first things that I did when I got up here, I ended up being cast as an understudy at Elmwood for the piano lesson, August Wilson's The Piano Lesson. And it was just, it was just such an amazing experience. And like you said, like all hands on deck, it doesn't matter where you work, what you do, what your 9 to 5 is. When we come in there, we make magic. It's about that energy. And it's about it's harder than it looks, but it's also not that hard. Like if it's you, if it's in you, if it's like your passion and in your DNA, like it just oozes you. It just happens, whether you're a newbie or not, it's something that oozes. It's you, say like, if it looks like you're acting, you're not acting. You're not acting. Like for me, I've got to tell the story. You have to believe, when you watch it, I want you to believe that I am Bethany. You're not watching EBONÉE. You're not watching her. She's nowhere there. Do you believe the story that we're telling you? Do you believe that who we are? It's about that energy. It's about that time when you drop your line or you skip ahead a couple of pages, but you and your scene partner are so in sync that you know where it is and you can pick it up and you guide each other. And it's like this beautiful, just dance, choreographed dance. And then you can bring it back. You can go back those couple of pages that you missed. Don't repeat those lines. Go back, skip that part that you jumped to and flow through the rest of the scene and nobody knows anything. And when you get off stage, you're like, oh my God. But, and that's the thing with theater, like you can't stop. The show must go on. And that's where it's a little different with film, because if you drop that line, you want to keep going, but then you do have those opportunities when the director calls it to, cut and, reset and then go back. So that's a great thing. But it's all about like Elmwood and any community theater I've worked with and on any set, especially this one, it's just been about just camaraderie and just, just sharing. It's an experience and it's just, you wouldn't want to pass it up no matter how long it takes. You can have a 3 a.m. call time. You can be rehearsing for 4 months. It doesn't matter, just, oh my gosh. I just love it. Like we were all smiling during that whole like moment of like, breaking down like theater and like that magic. We were all smiling. Like that's community theater. That's just theater art.
And just a damn good show, damn good time.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't want to poo-poo professionals or anything, but I think there's a certain, I'll use the word magic again, that happens with community theater. What people, because you become a family, a company. There's a familiarity. Like there's a connection to story that I find that happens in community theater that you don't see, even on Broadway sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, like. There's just a naturalism that occurs. It's hard to explain. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anyone else can speak to that, but
I've done community theater, and I completely agree. I think when I've compared now, when I think about it, watching, I guess, a Broadway show or a Broadway play versus whether or not being in a community theater play or musical. Sitting down there, it's rooted in joy the entire time. I think,
Yeah,
I'd say that because there's no motive or agenda from the performers really taking away from what they're bringing to the table that day that, maybe just is a deterrent or a distraction. 9 times out of 10, it's volunteer where they just want to be a part of it. And I think that's what we're actually seeing because there's that synergy. And everybody sitting in the audience, whether it's 30 people or 50 people just sitting in sitting in the house, most of them know each other and they're all enjoying something together as a group.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with community theater, it's like it feels more intimate, I feel like, because it is like we're like in a little black box, like a 50-seater, 100-seater. We are not in like this huge hall with like thousands of seats, 900 seats. And then a lot of times, because it is on hands on deck, it's like we're volunteering. Like after we get off of that 9 to 5, that 7 to 3, that 8 to 4, whatever it is, we're running over to the theater. We're taking off our blazer or whatever it is. And now we're playing costumer, we're playing set designer, we're playing director. We're doing all these things and we're staying up until 11, 12 at night, going home, taking a little cat nap, going to our 9 to 5, and coming right back to the theater. Like, I'm not saying that we don't have that same passion when we make it mainstream, but it's a little more like we don't have those extra helpers to help us. Like, we are the helpers. And then when we finish backstage and do what we have to do, and yeah, sure, there are certain people who are designated just for costuming, but when it is part of your thing, you kind of like, I have found myself like, well, what can I do to help? Like, how can I help? Because I want to be more involved and I want to learn more about the different, parts, that make all of this work, and then when we finish, we go out. And so with Broadway and like the mainstream, so usually it's the costumer is the costumer, the set builder is the set builder, the actor is the actor. You don't necessarily blend, everybody's kind of segmented, but we all kind of like, we have no choice but to kind of come together to make it work. And then when opening night happens and those lights come on and then you hear that applause at the end of the night, and if you happen to get a standing, oh, we did that all by ourselves, like we all banded together, tightened our bootstraps, and dag nabbit, ooh, babe, look at it.
Can I just say one more thing about professional theater? In their defense, I don't want to make it sound like, I think we're better than them or anything like that. But like, I don't think that I would be able to do a show 8 times a week for potentially years on end. Like, it would drive me insane. So, we get to do a show for like 4 or 5 weeks, whatever, have our little bit of fun and then move on to the next thing, but when it's your job, you know what I mean? And you're worried about, paying rent and benefits and, are you going to get cast in something else, eventually? Yeah, I have great respect for them too. So I don't want to make it sound like, our work is better than their work. I just want to stand up for community theater because I think the only, slice of community theater people get is what's that movie? Waiting for Guffman, by Christopher Guest, which he talks about them fondly, but it is a comedy, you know what I mean? And, I just want people to at least realize that if there's a community theater in your town, check it out because you just might be surprised. That's all I'm going to say. You might be surprised at the quality that you witness.
Something great about it, and it's not maybe the same thing that's great about professional theater, but it's great in the ways you're talking about.
Well, there's a great connection between the Film Society and community theater. It's the same kind of organization, basically. Because when Vera wrote and Juliana wrote the script, I kept thinking of Waiting for Guffman as like a model for what this film might be like. Now, as it turns out, it's not really like that at all, because in Waiting for Guffman, they're actually waiting for somebody to come from like New York theater world to check out their little community theater piece, which is not like the storyline of this film at all. But it did definitely make a connection to me.
Right.
The idea behind this fictional version of this small, film society and the idea of a fictional story about a community theater. Very close.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know about Waiting for Guffman, I have not seen this movie.
Oh my goodness. You need to see it.
I'm already sold that Catherine O'Hara is in it. So, okay, now that's all I needed to know. And she, I think, is the perfect example, agree to disagree. She's the perfect example on how a great theater actress and singer could just make a movie better.
And film festivals, too, are in the same sort of category of art organizations that people do more for the love than the money. And in fact, I was kind of inspired. I was attending a film society, talking to the executive director, and he on opening night, and he was saying, this should not. And I was saying, this has been a great event, great evening, great films, etc., great after party. And he said, yeah, it is, but you know what? It shouldn't have happened. It's not logical. It was so great. It's a miracle that everything came together, and that's the exact same way I always felt about the Film Society events. That
the real ones, like in real life.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So it's like all that. There's a similar process. And I wanted to say something too about working with actors, and because that's kind of a new thing for me in this. I mean, I've worked with actors, voiceover, etc., or spokespeople in corporate videos, but to have an ensemble like this and to be responsible for directing a narrative piece like this was really learning opportunity for me. And the first time we had a table read, it was like a miracle. It was like, wow, these people have thought about these characters and taken and made the characters much more three-dimensional than I ever imagined, or they make them into real people in a way that I didn't anticipate. But brought something more to the script than I knew. I didn't understand that process. And should we ever have the opportunity to do another episode, I would like to have more opportunity to talk that process through. And I think in advance of shooting, and maybe that's what you call rehearsing. And that was a new and wonderful experience to me. So I thank you all for that revelation.
And you didn't make it easy on yourself.
Right.
Writing your first screenplay with like 8 actors.
Right.
I mean, usually start with 1 or 2.
Well, that's right. Roger, being the king of working with a low budget, was always telling me, you have way too many actors in this. You've got way too many locations, way too many actors. So the fact is, even though we had 8 or whatever, that was a trim. We trimmed down. We eliminated, consolidated a number of actors and cut down the number of locations. So I did take his advice, but it's still a challenge.
It does add up, producing wise.
Exactly.
It does. It's a lot of lifting, and it's a lot of work. Was there any takeaway or lessons learned, I guess, like a problem or an obstacle that you guys really overcame as an ensemble during the actual filming of this project, Film Society?
I don't remember an actual problem. I just want to say that so they had a schedule, obviously, and there was a block of time where I was supposed to do my scene, and it was kind of earlier in the day, and I showed up, and I wasn't complaining. I was eating my craft service and whatnot, waiting for my scenes to be filmed. But I noticed that they were kind of getting behind schedule, and I guess similar to Tim's day, I was last up to go, And I don't know. I take a little bit of pride. You know what I mean? I don't know if someone called me this, or maybe I called myself this, but I like to be known as one take Adamides. You know what I mean? I always got my eye on the clock, and I'm like, how am I going to make this process more efficient? You know what I mean? How are we just going to catch everybody up? And I just want to say, they ended up finishing pretty close to where they said they were going to finish. So, I feel pretty good about that.
Thank you.
Great job, Stavros.
Your service.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. Anyway.
I guess that's line producer trying to keep you guys.
I was going to say, I imagine my castmates will agree, but I thought Vera managed us, if I want to use that word, as cast members very well. And I think she's got a good, just calm way of working. I thought we worked well as an ensemble. I think we're all happy to be there, happy to be part of the project. As EBONÉE said earlier, ready to work with our scene partners. And, I think film, I guess it's a little easier too sometimes to if you're not on camera, just to give people the thumbs up, or, we talked a little bit, tried to rehearse while Vera and Roger were setting things up. I think we all thought enough of the two of them that we really wanted to, kind of as Stavros said too, give them good takes and make it easy. And but I thought that the feedback, that we got from Vera was solid, and the suggestions were from a place of that was good, but how about adding this? Could we try this? Could we do this? And so, sure that the quality of the work that got produced is, in good part because Vera was very good as a coach to get us to where she wanted to get us to.
Thanks, Tim. It was I think some of my suggestions were, I was doing my best, but they didn't always. Sometimes the first take was better than the one after. It was just, but you need choices in the edit room, so it was all good.
I think with everyone's theater background, you guys already know, like, you have such a strong connection to your character on, their backstory. You hold your intention, you got your motive, you identified every single obstacle to overcome, even breathing right on the comma. I would actually say, usually, in theater, that's it. You only get one take, so you got just a totally different work ethic and preparation background from theater actors, I'd say, and you got a cast full of it. So I guess that was a pretty good choice on your part, I must say.
I think you're right. It was good. And of course, couldn't have done it without Roger. It was because of so many things. I was also producing. And so, the logistics, arranging lunch and the crew and all this, getting the locations was a challenge, very time consuming. But Roger, knew the directorial standpoint of how, okay, we got to cover it this way and from that angle and this angle. And, so that definitely was, I was relying on you for that. Thank you for your experience, besides all the recommendations about consolidating characters and reducing the number of locations.
If you look at a certain number of big films where they have 7 people sitting around a table, covering that is really difficult and very time consuming. So if you're trying to get the screen direction to be correct between 2 particular dialogue lines, you want to cover them from the correct side of the person. So essentially, in some cases, if you don't know exactly how you want to cut the film while you're shooting it, you kind of want to shoot a lot of the lines from both sides, having them look both ways, in case you want to cut to this person instead of this other character, but we just didn't have time to live in that luxury of having a lot of coverage, so we chose our angles as best we could in the time that we had. I mean, I think we had to get out of the house, that mansion, at
6 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was even earlier.
Well, wrapped in
whatever.
6.
I mean, we just had to do the essentials and then get whatever else we could from whatever the best possible angle. But there are some places where, the eye line isn't really the correct eye line for the shot, and it still works. The audience doesn't really care about that, screen cinema language as much as the directors and professionals do. It does matter, but, you do your best in the amount of time you have. One thing I've learned in the business for so long is you have to finish the day. You can't get 1/3 of the work done for the day. And if you have a lot to do, you have to find a way to get it done. And, you can't be as picky as you'd like sometimes about lighting or what's in the background. And, you just have to think through these things in advance to say, well, that piece of furniture in the background is fine, or whatever. And so we're not going to worry about it if it's not exactly the appropriate piece. It's just, we were in this wonderful house with lots of antiques and we couldn't move everything around. We just had to go with it. And of course, it's supposed to be the rich guy's house, so it's fine. But anyway, we had to get the job done. We couldn't afford to hire the crew for another day after we had already gone one day over the original budget, actually.
That's right.
So, that's one of the challenges is I'm sorry, all you actors would probably rather be there for another whole day doing all those lines again. Maybe not.
But
I was happy to wrap up at 6 that day. as much fun as it was.
Well, that's a miracle. You know, most TV shows, they shoot until like midnight.
Yeah.
That's true. I just wrapped up boot camp at Umbra Studios in Newburgh, New York this week, and was getting back to basics on film set etiquette 101 and just like, just getting all the rust out of any gear that has not been used in years just to kind of refresh. And it was 30 hours of work in 3 days. So that was a bit of a crunch, but necessary. So I totally understand what you mean.
Welcome to Happy Corner. This project strives to make safe housing areas for stray cats at an affordable price. It's so easy to put together that even your children could have fun making one. Help keep cats and other animals safe with their own little Happy Corner homes. You can help this project become a reality by donating to the GoFundMe page. Happy Corner homes are a great way to show those animals in need it's okay to be happy.
Well, it worked out well. We were lucky with weather too. That's another
Oh yeah, boy,
nightmare.
we could have been really skunked if we'd had bad weather.
We had pretty bad weather this week, but thank God we were inside of a studio, or else that would have been that was just it's definitely a lot different whether you're out in the field, at the mercy of the sunlight, and whether or not you're on a film set studio space. The quality and the efficiency is just so much easier to work around on stage as opposed to being outside, because then all of a sudden it's a gamble.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know. Did we have any weather problems at all? I guess not. Not really.
No, it was a little touch and go until the day actually dawned, but it was fine.
So you got through it.
Yeah.
Did you find it were there any real challenges as far as like finding the right locations, does anybody else have like soundstage experience and could kind of go into the dynamics a little bit?
Well, the interesting thing, the locations were challenging, but the most challenging probably was there's the first scene in the mall, the mega mall. And Roger and I have worked on a documentary many years ago about that, the origins of that particular mall. And so, which was critical of the mall. So when I went back to get permission to film in the mall, that was quite a challenge. Because they knew, if you Google me, you'll find this documentary against the mall. It was a documentary about malls versus downtowns and how they present a threat to small business and communities like ours. And so they did confront me point blank and say, we know that you made this documentary critical of the mall. How do we know if we let you in again, you're not going to be attacking us? And I said, oh, no, this has nothing to do with it. This is what it is. And to their credit, they gave us permission to go and film in the mall. So that was great. But I didn't know what I would do if I couldn't get in there, because it's a very special atmosphere. So we would have figured something out. But fortunately, we didn't have to.
Was that American Masters?
No, it's called Mega Mall. It's on Vimeo on demand. And it's called Money, Power, and Politics in the Age of Sprawl. So it's
the Palisades Center. If you've been by it a million times on your way to Orange County.
Right.
You got to get that bad boy on IMDb. It's not listed.
Okay.
It isn't?
Check it.
Unless they took it down, and you must have hit a dent, because
that's strange.
We'll have to
think
check
it
that
used
out.
to be
It's on IMDb. So she's like, "Oh, film producer, click. There you are. Mega Mall. That's definitely on Google." But as far as IMDb,
that's funny. I think it used to be on IMDb. We'll have to add it back in.
I found the page for the movie now by itself, but let's see. You got a director's credit, but it wasn't listed under your profile. Unless there's two Veras, or you got
I don't think so. I have to go update that. Thanks.
That's all right. Roger's good. Sarah's good. Back to Vera. And if I go back around the loop, what the heck just happened? And now all of a sudden you got like 50 film credits. Or no, you got 11. But still, that wasn't there a second ago. Oh, man. Yeah, American Masters is still there, but all of a sudden it must have been my phone, or I must have gotten like some sort of like ghost block or something. But yeah, Mega Mall 2009, that's there.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Found it. Alrighty. That was weird. Can you find it on streaming or like maybe at the local library?
Yeah, the Mega Mall is in the local library on DVD, but you can also, we have an educational distributor called Films Media Group, so it goes out to colleges and universities for like urban planning and history, and it's also Vimeo on demand. We have a Vimeo on demand. You can stream it, Mega Mall, Vimeo on demand.
Got it.
Or we can sell you a DVD if you want to get in touch with me. I have a box in the attic, right? I'm happy to deliver it.
Bring it to the Tribro when we meet, and I'll.
Okay, real good. It's a great documentary, and Roger actually is the narrator, and people mistake him for Peter Coyote. He does such a good job narrating.
I like being a narrator. That was kind of fun. I'd like to do some more narrating.
Well, I think
But
when
I don't have a big
near and dear to your heart. Oh, go ahead. You talk first.
I don't have a big profile as a narrator, so it's hard to get hired for that.
Well, honestly, when it comes down to like, in my experience, when you actually have something near and dear to your heart and you're talking about something, you're just connected to the dialogue on a spiritual level where it's not acting and it's not, premeditated or rehearsed. It's something that you truly do at your core believe in. So when you actually hear that, we hear it too, or at least I do. I pick up on those things.
I have to say the other thing in Roger's case, he read the scratch narration, and we spent years editing the film. So he's read the lines so many times for the scratch narration before going into the final recording that it was like second nature. But
He pretty much memorized the whole script. Well, anyway, the Mega Mall story is also in Film Society, which
in future episodes, right?
Well, no, but it's in Juliana Goes to the Mall to make a film about the mall,
right?
And that's an autobiographical bit about Vera and making the Mega Mall film.
That's right.
So I guess on that, what made you want to actually now do like a narrative, more or less? Like, now what's the driving factor behind that truly about the story of Film Society and putting it on film and getting your actors put together and telling a story from a narrative perspective? What's your motive there?
I think it was really just, I love humor. I think, humor is like a sign of intelligence. Not to say that I'm trying to show I'm intelligent, but I just mean it's such a great way to process things. And I really found this experience being on the board made me laugh. It made me nervous many times. Like I was saying, will the event come off or not? But it made me laugh. And it was just an opportunity to try something new. So why not? Other people do this. I had this idea. I think it's a great idea. When I would tell people about the idea, people were always enthusiastic. So I just thought, let's go for it. And there are all these local resources that I could draw on. So people, places, it seems possible.
Is there I guess in my experience, when it comes to just writing, I always have like the finale just totally in mind the whole time, like the X marks the spot, like here's where, like, where you are, but there's always that final shot, that final scene. For me, that's just how I work. That like that's my bullseye, that's my target, and that's what I strive to, like, that's the point of the story, more or less. Was there I guess more or less like that final shot in your head on kind of summarizing, since this is such a true story, on why you would want to actually pull the story off and why the audience would want to actually see the story behind the stories you've told?
Well, I really like I really think it's my mission was as an homage, and then it's an opportunity to laugh, an homage to the Film Society. And I never taken a writing course, so I really was out of my. I don't really think of myself as a writer, even though there's a lot of writing involved in my work on documentaries. We wrote our own scripts, and you're always writing proposals, so you do a lot of writing, but I'm not a writer. It doesn't just flow out of me, but I'm more like appreciate like David Sedaris, where it's observation of real things, and that's what makes me laugh. So it's kind of coming out of that, but I never would have been able to put it together in a script if it wasn't for working with Juliana. Because I mean, the first time we worked together, so she said, okay, whose point of view is this going to be from? And I was like, oh, I don't know. I never thought about that. But now that you ask, since all these are all my observations and experiences that I want to write about, I guess it has to be from my point of view. So that's how that whole thing originated. And I don't think it could have been done without somebody's point of view. But not being a writer, I wasn't imagining another character. I was just trying to make a shape out of these observations.
There's a timeline, and yeah, there's always of course, there's multiple points of view and multiple perspectives in every project. And like I would always say, 9 times out of 10, there's always a primary, where on how it kind of just streamlines, and then we branch off of that primary as you tell a story. But the best place to always, I'd say, start or is your own, because nobody knows it better than you do, and nobody could actually write better than you from your own point of view. But that's always the route, I would say. And then you just pick and choose in the editing room after that.
That's important too. Yeah.
Just from experience. Does anybody else have any like ambitions to become a writer or a producer similar to Vera?
I have done a couple of projects on my own where I've like done some directing and writing. I'm working on a couple of things right now, so I'm just kind of doing the writing part. And then I'll reach out for, help to get the camera people and the rest of the crew together. I've actually directed stage plays too and produced some stage plays too. So that's always fun doing behind the scenes stuff. And I'm looking forward to doing more behind the scenes and in front of the scenes stuff too.
Cool. Yeah, can't wait to see it at the Triborough.
Oh, yes.
Hey, let's go. I'm waiting on MARSHA to say, like, I can't wait to do that with my career. I'm just waiting for that.
I'm gonna cast you on something, MARSHA. In one of my projects, I'm gonna cast you.
I was waiting for that.
That's what
I was waiting for that. I'm available.
Okay, I'm gonna make it work.
Awesome.
I don't want to say like anything like Carol Burnett's ever done, but can't you have sort of like some sort of like Easter egg, or just like MARSHA auditions for community theater of Miss Hannigan, and just watch her do one skit, one audition, and it's nailing the audition. And that's what the story is about. And we could do it at Tim's Theater. And literally have Stavros working opposite Miss Hannigan as Daddy Warbucks, and then film that.
There you go.
That's what it'll be. We'll have Roger filming it again.
All right.
And be directing us. That's it. The whole crew again. Tim, you're in it too. Let's go.
Yeah.
That'd be real creative.
My schedule. I'm directing Midsummer Night's Dream right now, and then after that, I've got a little bit of an opening.
Okay, we'll pencil you in at that time then.
Okay.
You can pull this off on a weekend.
We got this. This.
Self-tape audition.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That'd be fun, and watch MARSHA in real life would absolutely crush that role.
I think so.
MARSHA, you'd be great. MARSHA, people just need to see you, and then they're gonna want you and everything. Trust me.
Thanks, Stavros.
I do.
I liked you.
I completely agree. Oh my goodness, guys, this is actually really exciting and fun. Did you tell your friends and family like you guys are going to be getting together for more or less a premiere or a screening of the films coming up in January?
I've been spreading little breadcrumbs to let people know, and now that we know the exact date, we'll be more definitive.
I'm going to tell all my friends in Astoria for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get exciting. Last year we had the packed house like in three segments, and man, the energy was good, especially at the Q&A afterwards. Everybody was so engaged, talking to the directors, the people in the audience. Like the hands were up, asking questions back and forth. It was, for me, it was magical. That was a sight to see.
Wonderful.
I imagine.
Imagine no more. You're going to be a part of it. It's going to be a lot of. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you got some really good creatives conglomerating on them together. I'm not
Congregating. There we go. Congregating.
really not a good talker. Like even as a podcast host, I'm pretty terrible at talking. I just have so many curiosities to keep conversation going.
We all stumble along the way.
I know it. Like I got a bad glottal stoppage right there, you know?
SpongeBob's cousin. There you go, right there.
Thanks. Yeah, call my agent. Oh, what agent?
Listen, you're not supposed to say that out loud. They don't need to know that part. You're your agent.
Honest to God, I'm just if Bill Murray style is a true theme, that's just going to be a thing because I pick up the phone and I'm passionate about projects and all these things, and kind of like what Stavros was mentioning earlier. There's a lot of things that you take away with the more experience you got from the characters you play that really you learn about yourself first, and that'll carry you onto your next role, your next project. It's going to bring something alive out of you in real life that you're going to carry into any field of your life. It doesn't matter what it is. There's always like a strength and conditioning that comes from all the experiences in your life. I guess we could all agree that does contribute to like who you become and what you do all the days of your life.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, this has been pretty close to going on a little over an hour. We're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. If anybody wanted to say, like, get in touch, is there a good way, whether it's a website, on Instagram, email, that people can get in touch with you?
Well, there's a Film Society webpage on our company website, which is Turnstone Productions, turnstoneprod.com. That's a good way to contact us. And we also have a Facebook page, and I have a personal Instagram, but the website is probably the best way.
I love Instagram.
It's addictive, though.
I know. Well, in my line of work, I get a lot of DMs. So yeah,
Sure.
Of course, but I want to see what people are working on. So yeah, it's definitely addictive.
It can
I should
be.
probably look into that. Yeah. What's that, Ebony? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, it can be. I had to break that Instagram addiction. You just find yourself just scrolling and watching video after video, and it's like I'm just gonna watch like 2 or 3, and then your whole day has passed you by. Yeah, it's a lot. But in terms of following, if anyone wanted to learn more about me, you could always go to my website, which is EBONÉECollens.com. So EBONEECOLLENS.com. My social media on Instagram is EBONÉE Forever _. So at EBONÉE Forever, EBONEEFOREVER _. And that's my Instagram. I have a TikTok.
EBONÉE Forever. Oh, top of the list. Bam, click.
Thank you. I'll follow
I meant
that.
this for the audience, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it now just because it's like I had fun. I'm like, I want to keep tabs on you guys now.
We're all friends now.
Yeah.
Well, we've been friends, but now you're our newest friend.
And I'm easy, like Phil Capadora. Like I didn't even try anything other than just my name on
That's
everything.
it.
There's no mystery. What you see is what you get, Phil. Enough said. Blah blah blah.
Boom.
And honest to God, when all these things came out, I didn't know you needed to be creative or mysterious. I just said, "Do you want to find me? Yes or no? This is my name." So it's just like me.
It's big and easy.
How about you, Timmy? You got something?
I don't really have much of a Instagram. I'm like EBONÉE said, I do more just sort of like following other people. So must admit, I'm just sort of a modest high school teacher by day. That's how I roll.
Doesn't matter. I found you anyway. Click.
Yes.
How about you, Marsha? If anybody would like to,
No, I have no Instagram.
How about you? Do you have a LinkedIn?
I don't participate in any of that.
So
I work at the Y.
All right, so contact the YMCA or
Yes.
ask Vera to call you.
You can always get in touch with me and I'll send any messages to
Thank you, Vera.
I'll screen them first, make sure.
Okay.
Good vibes only, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it professional. And how about you, Stavros? If anybody wanted to like get in touch or see what you're doing.
I've always been terrible with that. Like I have an Instagram, but like it's a private page. It's for like my friends, and I should probably make an actor page, but I just don't like putting myself out there like that. I know that sounds weird, but I don't know. I've been very fortunate. Like, all the things I work on just kind of happen, like people know people and they contact each other and, magic happens, and I've been very fortunate that way. I don't even think you can find me on Instagram if you put my name in. Someone tried to find me the other day and they couldn't. I was like, oh, wait, that's a problem. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to work on that. I should at least make like a separate page, because what happens is sometimes people that I know will come see me in a show or something, and then all of a sudden I'll get these like friend requests, and I'm like, I don't really know this person, but I guess they just saw me in a thing, and I'm like, but do they really need to see what I ate last night? You know what I mean? Like type of thing. But yeah. Anyway, I can give you my email after the fact if you want. But yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. Always just want to make sure, like, if anybody actually is listening and they got inspired or want to like contact, not so much a fan mail thing, but like ideally, if you guys are available for work, I love it if somebody just contacts directly, and just ask for a resume, ask for a headshot, whatever it is, or even try to collaborate with somebody that you kind of you dig their vibe and you think you can make something really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Networking finest. Oh, there's also my TikTok, EBONÉE Forever. That will forever be me.
What else? I'm sure you got a LinkedIn. I'm sure you got a YouTube. I'm sure you got
I do have a YouTube. I think the YouTube is Ms. EBONÉE Online, and you could see it's MSEBONEEONLINE, Ms. EBONÉE Online. You can see my previous talk show episodes. I used to host a talk show. You can see some skits that I've done. You can see some other shorts that I've done, some work that I've produced. Fun stuff.
That's great.
Man,
all right. So you're going places because you've been there, done that. This is good.
I'm working. I'm just trying
EBONÉE, you're very good at all this. If I ever decide to get serious, you should be like my manager or something, because we got it all figured out.
She's gonna carry you so you can keep up.
I got you.
All right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the real cast of a real crew of a real film society in Rockland County. And guys, I got to say thank you so much for coming on the AFC podcast. I wish you all the best in your career. I cannot wait to officially meet you. Please come to the film festival and the awards ceremony, rub shoulders. I'd love to meet you. And of course, I always like to wrap up each episode with a final segment called The Right Words at the Right Time. And I'm sure some of you may know this, but there is a book by Marlo Thomas called The Right Words at the Right Time. And when I first found out about this book, I think it was like 2008, and I was doing like summer stock theater, but we were doing Shakespeare in the Park one summer, and I had this book. I don't even remember where it came from. I just know I had it, and I started reading the book, and it was just a collection of interviews of all the household names that you would know today, whether it was a politician, an athlete, an actor, producer, director, Mel Brooks, for example, or, you know, Shaquille O'Neal, like all like real household names that people that you would definitely heard of and you definitely know. But they were all asked the same question. And I wanted to ask that question to you guys today. So I guess we'll start with Vera and Roger. My question to you is, has anybody ever given you guys or yourself the right words at the right time that have always just stuck with you to just carry you through any obstacle or anything that you had to overcome to get through something? Or are there any words of your own that you would like to share?
In terms of lighting, okay, this is something I just heard the other day from Frank Prinzi, who used to shoot a lot of stuff in the 80s, like Pee Wee Herman, Frank Prinzi, and he said, when in doubt, turn it out. Don't overlight. You want to keep your lighting as simple as possible. Do not put too much light on the scene. When in doubt, turn it out.
Noted.
That's a good one. Boy, you really put me on the spot. I don't know. If I have to come, the thing that pops into my head is something that my cousin told me my father used to say. I don't even remember him saying this, but it was, whatever it is you're worried about, don't worry about it. It's the wrong thing. So don't worry about it, because if something bad is going to happen, it's not what you're currently worried about. So,
well, it's like our dentist used to say, don't worry about anything you don't have control over.
That's a good one too.
Because he's digging into your skull.
Right.
Yeah, it's only a drill. How about you? How about you, Stavros? Has anybody ever given you the right words at the right time, or anything you'd like to share for someone to hear?
Well, in terms of right time type of thing, the only thing that popped into my head was, I guess, at the very beginning of my acting journey. I tried out for a play in high school called Play It Again, Sam by Woody Allen. I was going out for Humphrey Bogart. And I did this monologue, this poem that I just kind of like picked out on the day. I hadn't done any acting. And the director just looked at me afterward and she goes, "You got it, babe." Like it, you know what I mean? And like, I don't know, that's just stuck with me like my whole life, you know? I mean, as an actor, I would think most of us would doubt that from time to time, you know, if not all the time, you know, especially when you're in the room with other like amazing actors and you're like, how the hell did I get here? You know what I mean? It's like you feel like, you know, the low man on the totem pole or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I guess just for me as an awkward teenager, you know, and I guess to speak to what Tim was saying earlier, like, some kids, they go through their whole life, you know, doing sports, you know, organized sports. I'd never done that. I played sports with friends, but not like organized, you know. And for me, theater was like the thing, you know, where it's like everyone came together to make something. And anyway, so because of that one audition and that one director who I'm still very good friends with, you know, telling me I had it, whatever it was, you know, I guess meant enough, because here I am 20 some years later still doing it. So yeah. And other than that, I would say in general, just like life advice. I mean, who am I giving life advice to? But you know, whether it feels good in a moment or not, you have to trust the timing of things. When you're ready for something, even when you're not ready for something, like you'll see the lesson eventually. It might not feel great in the moment, but if you wait long enough, you go, all right, you know what? That was supposed to happen that way. So that's it. That's all I got.
Well said. I really appreciate you saying that, trusting the timing of it. You know, I think I could get very impatient sometimes and a little too worried that if I don't make a move, then something will never happen, just between those three things. You're right. You should just be a lot more patient with yourself and trust the timing and don't worry about it.
Right on.
How about you, Mr. Tim? Has anybody ever given you the right words at the right time? Or
currently working on a project for a Walt Whitman play. And Walt Whitman said, which was recently also quoted on Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental. So I'll hopefully pass that on to my students, but I think that's a great quote.
That's very well said. Thank you. Well, Miss Marsha,
I once saw a card that said, "Wake up, have coffee, be kind."
Oh,
and that really made an impression on me.
And you remembered that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I just love how you said coffee.
Coffee.
That's what you
I know. Part of it, yeah.
Years ago, I was waitressing, and I went over to a man and I said, "Would you like more coffee?" And he said, "Coffee? I would like some I can't even say it, coffee." And he said to me, "You know something? The new school offers classes on how to get rid of your Brooklyn accent."
Oh my God.
Oh, I don't want to get rid of my Brooklyn accent.
I don't want you to lose it either. No, I know. It's very cliche because that's how you know. There's only one way to say coffee, and it's like, yeah, the way you say it in Brooklyn, that's how you know. It's a test. Like if you can't say coffee, then you're not from Brooklyn. At least not like coffee. Coffee. Yeah, one lump of two. That was beautiful, Marsha. Thank you for sharing that. And Peg, send it. Bring us home. Has anybody ever given you the right words at the right time, or do you have anything that you would like to share?
Wow. First, I'd like to kind of extend from what Stavros was saying earlier. Just sometimes, like kind of being patient about being in the moment. One time, a friend had told me, sometimes something was supposed to happen in your timeline, and sometimes you do things to kind of shift it, and you keep being brought back to this point because you have to fulfill the space on the timeline. So some things just have to happen. It's not because of anything in particular. It's just because it had to happen for certain other things to happen within your timeline. But that was just bouncing off of what you had said. That just made me think of that, Stavros. And one thing I would say is that for me, no matter like whatever's going on in my world, no matter what craziness is going on, the arts always centers me, whether it's singing, acting, writing, directing, dancing, it doesn't matter, modeling. I would say stay in your magic. I don't care what it is. I don't care how you do it. Nurture it, cultivate it, study it, live it, breathe it. Just be in it. Just stay in your magic, because that's how you're gonna, just continue to be you and just give off your essence, like who you are, through whatever your magic is. It doesn't have to be in the arts. You can be the world's greatest architect. That's your magic. Stay in it and then share it. Don't be selfish and hold on to it. Like, honestly, share your magic. Like, we're all kind of nervous sometimes, especially being like actors and in this artistic realm. But we literally put ourselves out there and say, look at me. Was it good? But stay in your magic, honestly, because your magic, like, no matter how, like, sometimes we'll do that take and we're like, oh, it was better. The last take was better. Or last night's performance was better. But those people watching you right now, in this present moment, they don't know that you thought it was better yesterday. Like, I've done a performance where, like, I actually had walking pneumonia, but apparently I killed it in a Vogue segment that I had choreographed. The director didn't even know, but I was in my magic. Because when I'm on that stage, when I walk in through those doors, when I see that camera, wherever I am, I'm in my magic, I'm in my element, and I love it. Just stay in your magic, stay in your element, and just continue to build on it and breathe in it. Don't let it go. Hold on tight to it. It's going to take you. No matter if you go mainstream, stay indie, do it for yourself. I don't care. Just stay in your magic.
Oh my God, that was great. Thank you so much. I get emotional at the end because I do like it's nostalgic for me to just go back from like being that kid in like a Shakespeare in the park under the tent, reading this book, The Right Words at the Right Time, and hearing just new perspectives and like these real words. For me, it not only just brings me back, it inspires me to keep going as well. And because you never know, like this podcast could potentially record somebody in the film industry where they did give somebody the right words at the right time for those people to just keep going. And that's why I do this, because you gotta do what you gotta do to keep your hopes alive, but you can't do it alone. You gotta be a part. You gotta be a part of a community in all aspects of your life.
Absolutely.
Facts.
Absolutely.
That was unintentionally my words of good ones at the right time. But I'm a dictionary for sure, no doubt about it. Definitely check out some of my previous episodes. Thank you all for listening. I'm so glad that 100 of you have subscribed. Be sure to leave a comment and rating and review. It kind of gets us on, I guess the algorithm good vibes only list. Definitely want to thank all of our special guests, EBONÉE, Tim, MARSHA, Stavros, Roger, and Miss Vera. I'm so excited for you guys coming to the Triborough Film Festival. Thank you so much for being somewhere in our 70th. I don't know if we're on episode 80, but we're pretty close. We're going to be hitting 100 this year, I think, of the AFC podcast. It's been a 5-year journey of just fun and getting to hear the stories of remarkable people around the community. And again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you too, man.
It's great to meet you too. Almost officially. Have a coffee on me at the Triborough when you come, please. I will have coffee present. Just can't have it in the theater, unfortunately. A lot of great networking going to happen. Again, I'll be in touch. I'll be sending an email out for all of the followers of the Triborough Film Festival, and of course on our mailing list. Coming out by October 1st, we'll have everything officially pretty much printed and ready to go. Definitely have to say thank you to our sponsors, to the Mid-Hudson Valley Federal Credit Union for being our corporate sponsor. Thank you, Happy Corner, aka my creative side, yada yada. Long story there, but you don't have to get into it right now. But that is definitely a wrap. I got to say thank you again, guys, and leave you with this. Wherever you go in all that you do, always remember to never forget community, creativity, and joy, and spread it to everybody you meet.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye.
Good to see you.